gym's the only thing that it won't keep you sober. You know, I've had people that come in here all the time, and they come in and they think, and they don't want to do any of the spiritual work. They don't want to do any of the mind strength, right? It's like people, I mean, what's the point of someone coming in and they get this well-developed posterior chain, and they put on muscle and all these things, and they move efficiently inside the gym. Well, that's all great and neat, and I like that as much as anything. But what's the point if their mind's flabby? If your physical body becomes tuned up and looks good, and you know, but what if your mind remains flabby? And that's what we really got to fix. Now, that's not to say that the gym doesn't help with our mind and teach it to get tougher, because it's like you right now, like that training you're doing right now, like it's hard. You're breathing heavy. You're challenged. You're probably having mind arguments whether you can keep rolling or not, and that's toughening your mind up. But is that really improving your character?
Right.
You know, and it's like the horse thief thing that we've been talking about. You know, I'm a drunken horse thief. Well, okay, we kept drinking, but then you're still a horse thief.
Right.
You know, and so that's where it is. It's like we can quit drinking and smoking and doing drugs and substance abuse and all these different things, but if we're not putting together the spiritual side with the physical, emotional, nutrition, and putting it all together, it's like, what are we doing?
I like the linear progression and the stress and adaptation. You talk about that in the gym. You know, when I first came in, I couldn't squat a plate. You know, I couldn't squat 135, but I add stress, I adapt to it, and I add more stress, and I adapt to it, and I keep adding weight. And so I keep progressing, but at a certain point in the gym, you plateau. The gains don't come as often, or there's going to be a certain point, you know, however long down the road it is, where I'm not going to be able to lift more than a certain weight. I'm not going to be able to squat more than 450 or put more than 300 over my head. But with the spiritual progression, it's endless. You can always keep putting pressure on that and getting better. And so, like, in the beginning, that first notch for me on the spirituality, like 2 years ago, I was struggling just to not use. I had to use dope every day, and I was struggling to not steal stuff, you know, like it was hard for me to not go into Walmart, steal stuff, pawn it, and then get high with that money. But, you know, I get sober, and then I'm not struggling with stealing stuff, but I'm struggling with, you know, not using. And then I keep on progressing, and then now I'm at a point where my spirituality is like, I'm putting pressure on things like, you know, like last night I wanted to, you know, watch TV before I went to bed, but no, you know, instead of doing that, I read, and then I prayed a little bit, and then went to bed, you know. And so it's like you can always develop your character and your spirituality.
Yes. And that's an awesome point, because, well, the gym, you know, how you get stronger, just like you said, you know, we put pressure, add stress. Let's say it's 135 pounds, which, you know, for you, right, we start at 135. Well, you adapt to 135, and then we add more stress, 145. You adapt to 145, and then we add more stress, 155, right? Simple. Pressure, adapt to that pressure and stress. Well, it's the same thing in life, right? So, you know, your first thing's quitting drugs and alcohol, right? That's stressful. You step into that stress, you walk through some shadows, you go through some mind struggles, detox, mentally, physically. Well, then you adapt to that stress and you step out of it. And so like a year and a half down the road, where you used to be smoking 2 packs of cigarettes, leaning on energy drinks every morning, and up and down in your mood, well, now it's like you've developed your character from working these steps and from the stuff that we're doing in the gym, the combination of the spiritual, and you've linear progressed in here, and you've linear progressed here. The thing that's so sick about the spiritual, it's like I was telling you about that old man that I look up to. He's a 65, 70-year-old man that I watch how he acts. And if that guy walked into this room right now, you would feel it. You would be like, oh, like you'd look at him and be like, whoa, who's this dude? He's a little old man. He doesn't carry a crazy physical presence, but the type of character that dude and the brightness of character that guy radiates, you can feel it. And that's what I want. And I think that's how we get sober, is that character, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is endless.
Right.
this we plateau. Like, what if we get injured?
Mm-hmm.
What if in the gym I get injured tomorrow? Like, and that's all I got. No, it doesn't matter if I get injured. I got all my reading. I got all my work on my character and how I treat people, and I'm not a horse thief.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just keep working on this and get to the point where I was talking about with that man, that old man. Like, you don't arrive at that type of character in 3 days, you know?
Yeah, it's work, stress and adaptation, and just the progression. You know, you can always get better spiritually. You can always improve your character, and you can always improve your relationships with other people, with yourself, and with God.
Yeah, and it's just endless. And so that's where we got to go with people, is it just can't be the gym. It's got to be the combination of the spiritual and then the nutrition side, and helping them capture a good balance. I say this all the time. If my life, I analyze my life a lot on a balance. So, you know, here is perfect, a nice balance. If I'm a little slopey, and then here, right? And so I want to be here with my balance and my foundation of health, where my spiritual's in line, and my spiritual honestly is my foundation. Like, honestly, like what I'm doing with the church and my higher power in Christ and the steps and all my spiritual experiences, really that's the foundation. The gym is what gives me a great amount of confidence, and it gives me an opportunity to compete when I'm having a hard time in my head, compete with sadness, my depression and anxiety. Thankful for the gym. And the gym can be spiritual work too. I mean, like today, it was a 90-second rest, and that whole time I'm on gratitude. Talking to God, stepping outside in that sun, let it beat on my face as I'm sweating and breathing heavy, and then back in and I'm attacking it again. And that's sick too, you know? And so then you're tying it all in, and then you go home at the end of the night and do your spiritual work before you go to bed, and it's a good way of life.
It's a beautiful way of life. There's nothing better.
Yeah, so